The sun blazed high overhead as Benson wiped sweat from his brow. The scorching heat didn't silence the roar of hammers, drills, and machines echoing across the construction site. Dust swirled in the air as laborers hauled cement bags, bricks, and equipment from one end of the vast site to the other. Benson blended in, his skin darkened by the sun, shirt damp with sweat, shoes nearly worn through. No one suspected he was anything more than an ordinary worker. But behind that dusty disguise, Benson was the hidden owner of the entire construction project. He had chosen to work in silence, dressed like every other laborer, to observe how the managers treated their men. He wanted to see who was honest and who abused their power. Each day he toiled under the sun, earning only a small daily wage. The only person aware of his true identity was his trusted assistant, Mr. Rowland. For weeks, Benson watched in silence as the managers, especially Mr. Collins, treated workers with cruelty and disrespect. They shouted constantly, insulted the men, and often deducted money from their wages without cause. But amidst all the harshness, there was one bright spot in Benson's days: Belinda. She was a young woman in her early 20s, who came every morning to set up her food stand outside the site. Her table was simple, offering hot rice, beans, fried plantain, and the occasional piece of fish. That small business was her only source of income, keeping both her and her ailing mother alive. From the first day, Belinda had noticed Benson. He wasn't loud or aggressive like the others. There was something different about him. Quiet strength and calmness. He never complained, never argued, just worked hard. One afternoon, drenched in sweat and clearly exhausted, Benson walked over to her stand during his break. He reached into his pocket and brought out a few crumpled Naira notes. "Good afternoon, sir," Belinda greeted with a warm smile. "What would you like to eat today?" He hesitated, lowering his eyes. "Just a little rice, please. That's all I can afford today." She saw it in his face, the silent struggle. Without a word, she scooped a generous portion of rice, added some beans, plantain, and even a small piece of fish. "But I don't have enough for all this," Benson said, surprised. Belinda smiled again. "Don't worry. You're my customer. Eat and gather strength. Hard work is not easy." His heart softened. No one had ever been this kind to him on the site. Most people only looked out for themselves. "Thank you," he said quietly, accepting the food. From that day on, Belinda always made sure Benson had enough to eat, even if he didn't have the money. Sometimes, she gave him food for free, especially on days he looked more tired than usual. Days turned into weeks, and their friendship grew. After work, Benson would often sit near her stand, talking while the sun dipped behind the city's tall buildings. "Why do you work so hard every day?" he asked one evening. Belinda sighed, her expression dimming. "I have no choice. My mother is very sick. What I make here pays for her medicine. If I don't sell, we don't eat." He looked at her with deep respect. "You're a strong woman. Many would have given up." She smiled faintly. "I believe God sees my struggle. One day, He will make a way." Benson didn't reply, but inside, he admired her courage. One morning, as the workers gathered on site, chaos erupted. Mr. Collins pulled up in his flashy car, stepped out in a suit and shiny shoes, and immediately spotted an older worker struggling with a heavy bag of cement. "Are you blind?" he barked. "Do you want to damage my building?" The old man trembled, trying his best to lift the load. Benson rushed to help, steadying the bag on the man's shoulder. "That's enough, sir," Benson said firmly. He's too old for this. The weight is too much. Collins's face twisted with anger. And who do you think you are to talk back at me? I'm only saying it's wrong to treat him like that, Benson replied calmly. Collins stepped closer, eyes blazing. If you want to be a hero, then leave. You're fired. Get out. The site fell silent. No one moved. No one dared to speak. Benson picked up his bag and walked away, head held high. Later that day, he appeared at Belinda's stand, shoulders slumped, face tired. You're back early, she said, concerned. He sat quietly on a small bench. They fired me. What? Why? He told her everything. How he stood up for the old man and got dismissed. Tears welled in Belinda's eyes. She knew how hard he worked. Now he had nothing. Don't worry, she said gently. You're not alone. I'll keep feeding you. My little stand may not have much, but as long as I have something, you won't go hungry. Benson looked at her, deeply moved. You have a kind heart, Belinda. May God bless you. She smiled, hiding her fear. She could barely support herself and her sick mother. Now she had someone else to care for. But she couldn't turn her back on him. He was her friend. That evening, Mr. Collins relaxed in his lavish living room, proud of himself for getting rid of Benson. No one had dared to challenge him. He grinned, thinking of all the money he had quietly stolen from the project. These poor fools, he muttered. Who would ever find out? His phone rang, snapping him out of his thoughts. The caller ID was hidden. He frowned. Who calls from a private number this late? He picked up. Hello? Who's this? He asked sharply. A calm, deep voice responded on the other end. Mr. Collins, I know you very well. Collins's heart jumped. Who are you? What nonsense are you talking about? The voice continued, I'm the owner of the building you're managing. Collins shot up from his chair as if struck. The owner? What? How can that be? This must be a joke. It's not a joke, Collins, the voice replied, calm and steady. I've been observing how you treat my workers. Today, you fired one of my best men, Benson. Listen closely. Bring him back tomorrow, or you'll regret it. A wave of panic washed over Collins. His hands trembled, sweat dripping from his forehead as he gripped the phone. Please, sir. I didn't know. One more mistake, the voice interrupted, and your life will change forever. The line went dead. Collins stood frozen, the phone still in his hand. His thoughts raced. Who was watching him? Was this some kind of setup? He couldn't think straight. But one thing was clear. He had no choice but to do exactly what he was told. The next morning, he sat stiffly in his site office, eyes glued to his phone. His nerves wouldn't settle. After a long moment of hesitation, he finally picked it up and dialed Benson's number. Far away, Benson sat quietly in his small room. The phone buzzed in his hand. Seeing Collins's name, he answered calmly. Hello. Benson, Collins began, forcing a tone of authority despite the fear in his voice. I've decided to give you your job back. Benson paused, pretending to be surprised. Sir? I don't understand. Collins gave a forced laugh. Yes. You can resume work tomorrow. But listen carefully. If you come late, you'll be punished. I may deduct your pay. I might not pay you at all. Thank you very much, sir, Benson replied politely. I appreciate the opportunity. Good, Collins said, still trying to sound in control. Don't forget. No lateness. I understand. Thank you again, Benson said and ended the call. As he set the phone down, a quiet smile appeared on his face. Everything was going just as he planned. The next morning, Benson arrived at the site early. Some of the workers glanced at him in surprise, but no one said a word. A few avoided eye contact, too afraid to be seen talking to him. Benson got back to work without fuss. He carried bags of cement, mixed concrete, and helped the others as though nothing had happened. But one thing was different. When lunchtime came, he didn't go to Belinda's food stand. She noticed almost immediately. Her eyes kept drifting toward the site, looking for him. When she didn't see him, worry crept into her chest. Unable to wait any longer, she packed a meal of rice, beans, plantain, and fish into a flask and made her way across the dusty ground. The heat was intense, but she didn't care. When she reached him, he was busy with a pile of cement. "Benson," she called gently. He turned, surprised to see her. "Belinda? You didn't have to come all the way here. Why didn't you come to eat today? Are you upset with me?" He shook his head. "No, not at all." "Then why?" she asked again. He lowered his gaze. "I didn't work yesterday. I wasn't paid. I didn't want to come and eat without paying." Belinda gave a small, warm smile. "How many times do I have to tell you? Don't worry about the money. You can always eat. I don't mind." "But you already have so much on your plate," Benson said softly. "Your mother. Your business. I don't want to make it harder for you." She looked at him kindly. "I want to help you, Benson. You're my friend. Please just eat." He hesitated, then took the flask. "Thank you, Belinda. God bless you." "You're welcome," she said. "Now let me get back. My customers are waiting." "Okay, dear friend," he replied with a smile. As she walked back toward her stall, she saw Collins standing near his car, watching her. She greeted him politely, trying to pass quickly. "Belinda," he called out, stepping toward her. She stopped, feeling uneasy. "Yes, sir." "I've been watching you for a while," Collins said, putting on a fake smile. "You're beautiful. You're hardworking. Why are you wasting yourself out here, under the sun?" She said nothing. "You should be with someone like me. I'll take care of you. House, car, anything you want. Just say yes." Belinda was stunned. "Sir, please. I'm not that kind of woman. I'm not interested." His smile faded. "Don't act innocent. Do you know how many girls would kill for this chance? You're poor. Struggling. I'm offering you a better life." Her voice firmed. "I may be poor, but I have dignity. I won't trade myself for comfort." His expression darkened. "You're too proud. Too local. I was lowering my standard just to help you." Belinda's eyes burned with anger. "I would rather suffer with honor than live in shame. Keep your offer." Without another word, she turned and walked away, her head high. Collins stood rooted in place, seething. No woman had ever turned him down, let alone spoken to him like that. From a distance, Benson had seen everything. Though he couldn't hear their exchange, the way Collins approached her and the tension in her face told him enough. He watched her walk away with pride in his eyes. Belinda wasn't just kind. She was strong and fearless. Returning to his work, Benson whispered under his breath, "Collins's time is almost up indeed, The web around Collins was tightening. His greed, pride, and cruelty were slowly catching up with him, and justice was no longer far off. The next day at the construction site began peacefully. The sun shone softly, and a light breeze offered some comfort to the sweating workers. Benson moved steadily, carrying cement bags while occasionally glancing toward Belinda's food stand. Watching her serve customers with patience and grace always warmed his heart. Later in the afternoon, during his break, Belinda walked over with a plate of food as she usually did. They found a quiet spot under a tree, away from the noise and heat. "Benson, I want to tell you something," she said, her face glowing. "What is it, my dear?" he asked gently. "My cousin's sister is coming to visit this weekend. She'll be staying with me and Mama for a few days." "That sounds lovely," Benson replied with a smile. "You'll love her. Everyone says she's the most beautiful woman in our family." He grinned playfully. "So, you're saying she's more beautiful than you?" Belinda laughed and blushed. "Of course not. You always say I'm the most beautiful." He chuckled. "That's because it's true, my Belinda." She giggled, then unlocked her small phone. "Let me show you her picture." She handed him the phone. The moment Benson saw the image, his heart froze. It was Becky, someone he knew already. He tried to stay calm. Belinda noticed his expression change. "Why do you look like that? Do you know Becky?" He swallowed hard, searching for the right words. "Yes, I mean no. I think I've seen her somewhere before." "Where exactly?" Belinda asked, intrigued. "I might have seen her in a restaurant once." Belinda frowned. "That can't be. Becky doesn't go to local places. Only high-end restaurants. And you, well, you don't go to such places." Benson laughed awkwardly. "You caught me. I was just joking. I don't really know her." She gave him a suspicious look but then laughed it off. "You and your jokes." She continued, "Becky says she's dating someone very wealthy and powerful. I've never met him, but apparently he's quite a catch." Benson smiled and teased. "More handsome than me?" "Never," Belinda said quickly. "You're the most handsome man in the world." Her words melted him. He looked into her eyes, and everything else faded. "Belinda," he said gently. "Yes. I don't want to pretend anymore or hide how I feel. From the moment I met you, your kindness touched me deeply. You gave me food when I had nothing. You stood by me when I lost my job. You are rare, Belinda. I love you." She blinked quickly, her eyes glossy. The words surprised her, but they brought happiness too. "I've loved you for a long time, Benson," she replied. "I was just waiting for you to say it." "Yes, I'll be your woman." They laughed softly, holding hands. Then, slowly, they leaned closer and kissed. For a brief moment, it was just the two of them. No poverty, no hardship, just love. But the moment shattered as a harsh voice cut through the air. "What's going on here?" It was Collins. They quickly stood. He marched toward them, rage in his eyes. "So, this is why you rejected me, Belinda?" "For this poor, filthy laborer." Belinda stood tall. "Yes. Benson is the man I love. He's kind, humble, and worth more than you'll ever be." Collins laughed coldly. "Better than me? This man who carries cement? He has nothing. I offered you the world, and you chose suffering." "I chose love," Belinda snapped. "Benson is more intelligent and respectable than your arrogant self." Collins's face turned red. His pride was crushed. He stepped closer to her and raised his hand. Before it could come down, Benson moved in front of her. "Don't even try it," Collins snarled. "Or what? What will a nobody like you do?" Benson didn't blink. "Touch her, and you'll see a side of me you won't forget." Collins hesitated. Benson's tone wasn't empty. He could feel it. Trying to regain control, Collins barked, "You'll regret this. I won't pay you a single naira this month." Benson smiled calmly. "Do what you want. Your reign of terror is ending." Collins stormed off, leaving the two standing quietly. Belinda turned to Benson, her voice soft. "Thank you for standing up for me." He took her hand. "I'll always protect you. No one will hurt you while I'm around." Tears filled her eyes as she nodded. "I believe you." They walked back to her stand, hand in hand. But Benson's thoughts raced. Collins wasn't finished. He was becoming more dangerous by the day. Though their days became brighter, filled with quiet love and shared moments, one person's bitterness only grew stronger. Collins's ego couldn't handle rejection. Each time he saw Benson and Belinda together, it burned him. How could a poor girl choose a lowly laborer over a man like him? One evening, sitting alone in his car, hatred filled his chest. "No one humiliates me," he growled. "She chose him? She'll pay." He picked up his phone and called a group of street boys he often used for dirty work. "Tomorrow morning," he said coldly, "go to that girl's food stand. Break everything. Burn her umbrella. Scatter her food. Smash her table. But don't touch her. I just want to send a warning." The boys laughed. "Consider it done, boss." The next day began like any other. Belinda rose early, cooked her food, and arranged her little table by the roadside. She welcomed customers with her usual smile, serving rice, beans, and plantain. Around mid-morning, 5 strange men approached. Their rough faces and mean eyes gave away their intent. Before she could speak, they began kicking her food containers, smashing plates, and overturning pots. A boiling pot of rice spilled across the ground. Her table broke into pieces. "Please stop. Why are you doing this?" she cried, trying to shield her things. One of the men pushed her aside. "Next time, show some respect to Mr. Collins," he barked before they walked away, laughing. Belinda stood frozen. Everything she had worked for was ruined in minutes. Tears streamed down her face as a neighbor rushed over. "Belinda, you need to call Benson. This is wickedness." With shaking hands, she dialed his number. At that moment, Benson was at home resting when the phone rang. It was Benson's day off when his phone rang. Seeing Belinda's name, he answered immediately, but all he could hear was her crying. "Benson, they destroyed everything," she sobbed. "What?" "Calm down. Belinda. Who did this?" "What happened?" he asked, his voice rising with worry. "My stand, my food. They ruined everything," she wept. "It was Collins. I'm sure he sent them." Benson jumped to his feet, rage burning through him. "This is too much. Collins has gone too far." His breathing became heavy. "Stay right where you are," he said firmly. "I'm coming." He ended the call and immediately dialed another number. Not Belinda, but Mr. Rowland. "Rowland, listen carefully," Benson said, his voice steady and sharp. "Yes, sir." "Activate the plan. Collins has crossed the line. Call the police. Everything is ready. I want him arrested today." "Yes, sir." The officers are on standby, and all the evidence is in place. It'll be done, Roland confirmed. Good, Benson replied. Let's end this now. An hour later, 2 police vans rolled into the construction site. Inside the site office, Colin sat in his chair, proud of what he had done. That'll teach her a lesson, he murmured with satisfaction. Just then the door burst open. Mr. Collins, a police inspector called out with authority. Colin stood quickly, shocked. Yes? What's happening? You're under arrest for destruction of property, harassment, embezzlement, and several other charges, the inspector announced. Collins's face drained of color. His hands trembled. Arrest? On whose order? This is a mistake. The officer pulled out a warrant. We have everything we need. It's over. As the officers handcuffed him, Collins protested, I want to speak to the owner of this project. You'll meet him soon enough, the inspector replied coldly as they dragged him out. Meanwhile, Belinda was still at her destroyed food stand, quietly trying to clean up what remained. She was wiping her tears when Benson arrived. Belinda, he said gently. She turned around, and upon seeing him, she ran straight into his arms, crying. My stand is gone, Benson. I don't know what to do anymore. He held her tightly. Don't cry, my love. Everything will be okay now. I promise. This will never happen again. She looked up at him, confused. What do you mean? Did something happen? Benson nodded with a soft smile. Collins has been arrested. He won't bother you ever again. Belinda gasped. Arrested? Really? How? He gently held her hands. Don't worry about how. Just know that justice has begun. Wiping her tears, she managed a weak smile. Thank you, Benson. Thank you for everything. You deserve better, Belinda, he said with emotion. And very soon, you'll see what God has in store for you. She looked into his eyes, sensing he was hiding something, but she trusted him. That night, Collins sat on the cold floor of a police cell, his head bowed. Everything he had was gone. The warning call echoed in his mind. Now, his downfall had begun. Days passed. Belinda did her best to get back on her feet. Using what little savings she had, she replaced her pots and dishes and set up her stand again. Business was slow, but at least Collins was no longer a threat. Then one afternoon, as she served a few customers, her phone rang. The number was unfamiliar. Hello, good afternoon, she answered politely. Good afternoon. Am I speaking with Miss Belinda? A man's voice asked. Yes, this is she. Who is calling, please? This is Dr. Martins from St. Mary's Hospital. I'm calling regarding your mother's surgery. Her heart skipped. Yes, doctor. Is everything okay? I'm still trying to gather the money. That's exactly why I'm calling, the doctor replied. There's good news. An organization has covered the entire cost of the surgery. Belinda froze. WH what? Who paid? Which organization? I'm afraid it was an anonymous donation. No name was given, the doctor said gently. Placing a hand on her chest, Belinda tried to absorb the shock. Are you sure, doctor? Absolutely. The payment came in this morning. We can now schedule the surgery immediately. Tears rolled down her face. Thank you so much. Please prepare your mother. We'll proceed in the next few days, the doctor added. I will. Thank you, doctor. Belinda ended the call, overwhelmed with gratitude. Who could have done such a thing? 3 days later, the surgery was done. Her mother came out healthy and stronger than before. Belinda stayed by her side throughout the recovery, thanking God for the miracle. A week later, Becky arrived in her usual flashy style. Expensive clothes, high heels, and a designer bag. She walked into the house, glanced around, and let out a small sigh. "Becky!" Belinda ran to hug her. "You're finally here." "My dear cousin," Becky smiled. "I missed you." "You didn't tell me you were coming today," Belinda said cheerfully. "I wanted to surprise you." "How's your mother?" "She's much better. The surgery went well." "That's great. God is indeed wonderful," Becky replied, sitting down. Belinda smiled. "He truly is." Becky looked around the small home and shook her head with a soft laugh. "I don't know how you survive in such a tiny place." "It's small but it's home," Belinda replied with pride. After chatting for a while, Becky suddenly asked, "You never told me about your boyfriend." Belinda's heart skipped. "Boyfriend? What boyfriend? Come on, stop pretending. I know you're in love. The way you glow and smile lately gives you away." Belinda blushed and looked down. "I just didn't want to say anything yet." "Well, show me his picture," Becky said eagerly. "I want to see the lucky man." Belinda hesitated but eventually opened her phone and showed her a picture of Benson. The moment Becky saw it, her eyes widened in shock. Belinda noticed. "What is it? Do you know him?" Becky gasped. "He looks exactly like my boyfriend." Belinda's jaw dropped. "Your boyfriend?" "Yes. We haven't spoken in months after a fight, but I still believe we'll get back together." Belinda's heart pounded. "No, this can't be. My Benson is just a laborer. Yours is wealthy, right?" "Yes, he has everything. Cars, houses, businesses." "Then it's not the same man." "Mine carries cement for a living," Belinda said, trying to convince herself. "You're right. They just look alike," Becky agreed, but Belinda couldn't shake the uneasy feeling growing inside. "I want to meet your Benson," Becky said suddenly. "Why?" Belinda asked, confused. "Because we're family, and I want to meet the man you love." Reluctantly, Belinda agreed. "Okay, tomorrow." The next morning, they prepared to visit Benson. Becky was dressed up, full of excitement. Belinda, however, was anxious. When they reached Benson's place, he was outside waiting. The moment he saw Becky, his smile vanished. Becky also froze. "You!" she shouted. Benson's hand went to his forehead. "Wait. You two actually know each other?" Belinda asked, stunned. Becky snapped. "This is the man I told you about." "No, Becky. Ex-boyfriend," Benson corrected. Belinda turned to him, her voice trembling. "Why didn't you tell me you dated my cousin?" "I didn't know she was your cousin," Benson explained. Becky jumped in. "You never told her about me?" "After everything we had." Benson's face grew serious. "We ended things because of your behavior. You used me for money and cheated on me with other rich men." Belinda looked at Becky, shocked. "Is that true?" Becky screamed. "Don't believe him. He's twisting it." "I caught you, Becky. You betrayed me." "That's why I left you," Benson said. Becky argued. "You're rich. Why didn't you give me what I asked for?" "Because I wanted love, not greed," he said coldly. Becky snapped. "And now you choose my poor cousin over me?" Belinda was speechless, tears in her eyes. "You hid this from me, Benson." "I was scared to tell you," he pleaded. "But I trusted you," she cried and turned to run. Becky stayed behind and crossed her arms. "Now she's gone. It's just you and me." "You're insane," Benson muttered. "I still love you," Becky whispered. "You were my biggest mistake," Benson replied. "If I can't have you, no one will," she hissed. "Get out of my house," he said sternly. "You'll regret this," she screamed as she stormed out. Benson sat down, burying his face in his hands. His heart was heavy. He had lost Belinda, the only woman who ever truly loved him, and all because of Becky's sudden return. But Benson wasn't ready to give up. He knew he had to fight for her, to explain everything clearly. His love for Belinda was too deep to walk away from. Far from him, Belinda sat under a mango tree, crying quietly. Her heart felt shattered. She was hurt, confused, and overwhelmed. "Why didn't he tell me? Why did he hide it?" she whispered as tears rolled down her cheeks. Despite her pain, she still loved him. She just needed space to think. The next morning, Belinda swept the living room while her mother rested quietly in the bedroom. Though the surgery had gone well, Belinda's worries hadn't disappeared. Her heart still ached over what happened with Benson. She missed him, but the truth he'd hidden had shaken her deeply. Suddenly, someone knocked loudly at the door. "Who is it?" she asked, heading to open it. To her shock, Becky stood there, her face full of fury. Without waiting for an invitation, she shoved the door open and walked in. "What are you doing here?" Belinda asked, startled. Becky's voice was sharp. "You little witch. So, you think you can steal my man from me?" Belinda stepped back, confused. "He's not your man. He ended things with you a long time ago." "Shut your mouth," Becky shouted. "You don't know anything. We only had a few issues, but he still loves me. You're the one forcing yourself on him." Belinda shook her head. "Becky, we're family." "Family." Becky laughed bitterly. "You? A dirty, poor local girl like you? Don't make me laugh. You're nothing but a beggar surviving on my leftovers." Belinda's eyes narrowed, her hands clenched. But she held herself back. "There's no need for this, Becky." Becky stepped forward and pointed at her. "Stay away from Benson, or I swear, you and your sick mother will vanish from this world." Belinda's heart pounded. But this time, she didn't stay silent. "Don't you dare threaten my mother, Becky. I won't allow it." Becky laughed mockingly. "You think you can challenge me? My mother has powerful friends everywhere. I can ruin you." "At least my mother is poor but honorable," Belinda shot back. "Unlike yours, who has 5 children by 5 different men." Becky froze in disbelief. "Yes, I said it," Belinda continued, now furious. "Like mother, like daughter. You live off men, chasing money and luxury, and still act like you're better than me." Becky's face turned red with shame and rage. "You fool! How dare you speak to me like that?" "I dare because I'm not afraid of you anymore," Belinda replied, her voice rising. "I'll never give up Benson. Not to someone like you." Becky turned toward the door. "You'll regret this." "If I can't have him, neither will you." She slammed the door behind her, heels echoing down the street. Minutes later, Belinda dropped into a chair, breathing hard. She was shaken but proud. For once, she had stood up for herself. Her mother had heard the shouting but was too weak to come out. Just then, another knock came, this time, gentle. Belinda stood up, wiping her face. She opened the door and found Benson standing there with Henry. His eyes held regret and pain. "Please, Belinda," he said softly. "What do you want?" she asked, her voice trembling. "I need to explain everything," he replied. Henry added gently, "Please let him talk. He's been miserable ever since you left." Without a word, Belinda stepped aside. They sat quietly in the small room, the air thick with emotion. "Belinda," Benson began, "I know I hurt you. I should have told you everything the moment I saw Becky. But I was afraid. I didn't want to lose you." Tears began to gather in her eyes. "I never meant to hide anything. When we met, I didn't know you and Becky were related. If I had known, I swear I would have told you." He paused, took a breath, then continued. "You remember seeing me carry cement at the site? That was never my job. I owned the entire project." Belinda stared at him, shocked. "Yes, it's true," he said. "I disguised myself as a laborer because I wanted to catch Collins and stop the corruption. I never expected to meet someone like you. You gave me food when you barely had enough. You defended me when I was fired. You loved me, thinking I had nothing." His voice cracked. "I kept it hidden because I wanted you to love me for who I am, not for what I have." Belinda was crying openly now. "But you should have told me the moment you found out Becky was my cousin." "You're right," Benson nodded. "That was my biggest mistake, and I'm truly sorry." Henry added, "Don't let Becky destroy what you've built together." Benson looked back at Belinda. "One more thing. The organization that paid for your mother's surgery, it was me." Belinda gasped. "You paid for it?" "I did," he said gently. "I didn't want you to feel like you owed me anything. I just wanted to help." She broke down completely, falling into his arms. "Just promise me you'll never hide anything from me again." "I promise," he said, holding her close. "No more secrets. No more lies. You have my heart forever." Henry smiled quietly as he watched them, knowing their love had won again. But behind the scenes, Becky was still scheming. For a few peaceful days, things returned to normal. Benson and Belinda grew closer, their bond even stronger. Her mother recovered steadily, and life began to feel bright again. But far away, Becky was consumed with rage. She paced her apartment, furious and bitter. "How dare that poor girl take what's mine?" she muttered. "He was mine first. I warned them, but they laughed. They'll regret it." An evil idea took shape in her mind. If she couldn't have Benson, she would destroy them both. She picked up her phone and called Fred, a man known for handling dirty work. "Hello, Fred. I need a favor," she said coldly. "Becky? Wow, long time. What do you need?" "I want you to kidnap someone," she said without emotion. "Don't hurt her badly. Just scare her enough to leave Benson forever." Fred paused, surprised. "You serious?" "Dead serious." Fred chuckled. "Consider it done." The next evening, Belinda was walking home from a friend's house when a black car pulled up. Two men jumped out, grabbed her, and shoved her into the car. She screamed and begged, but they said nothing. They blindfolded her and drove into the night. Later, Benson came by her house, concerned. When no one answered the door and her phone was off, he grew worried. Her mother stepped out, equally anxious. She went to visit a friend, but she hasn't come back, she said. Benson immediately called Henry. Something's wrong. Belinda is missing. Don't worry, Henry said. I'll get my people on it. Within an hour, Henry tracked the vehicle to an abandoned warehouse outside town. Benson and his security team rushed over. Inside, Fred and his men stood over Belinda, who was tied to a chair, crying. You took what isn't yours, Fred said coldly. Just then, the warehouse doors flew open. Benson and his team charged in. Let her go, he shouted. A brief fight broke out, but Benson's men overpowered them. Belinda was freed, and Benson held her tightly. You're safe now, he whispered. No one will ever hurt you again. As Fred was being dragged out, Benson asked, Who sent you? Fred, knowing it was over, said, It was Becky. The next morning, Benson reported everything to the police. Becky was arrested at her home and brought in. At the station, Benson faced her. You kidnapped someone because of jealousy. You have no shame. You made me do it, Becky said coldly. I loved you. Benson replied, Love isn't control. It's not obsession. It's character, and you have none. You'll regret this, she snapped. The officer interrupted. Enough. You're charged with kidnapping and attempted harm. You'll face the law. As Becky was taken away, Belinda clung to Benson's hand. I'm scared. You don't have to be, he assured her. She won't hurt you again. In the weeks that followed, peace returned. Becky was gone, and justice hadn't finished yet. Collins, the corrupt site manager, was also summoned to court. Despite hiring expensive lawyers, the evidence was overwhelming. You were trusted, the judge said, but you stole, threatened, and destroyed. Collins was found guilty of fraud, embezzlement, and destruction of property. He was sentenced to 5 years in prison and ordered to repay 150 million Nigerian nairas. If not, his assets would be seized. Collins broke down in tears, but it was too late. His power and pride were gone. Later, Benson addressed his workers. For months, I worked beside you, not to deceive you, but to see the truth for myself. From today, things will change. Your salaries will rise. No one here will ever be mistreated again. The workers applauded. One elderly man stepped forward. We never knew who you were. But you worked like one of us. May God bless you. Benson smiled. We are all human. No one is greater than the other. Soon after, Benson and Belinda held their wedding in one of the city's finest halls. The decorations sparkled, and guests arrived from far and wide. Belinda wore a dazzling white gown, her joy lighting up the room. Benson stood proudly beside her, full of gratitude. Her mother, now fully healthy, sat in the front row, wiping tears of joy. She never imagined her daughter, once struggling to sell food, would marry the man of her dreams. Do you, Benson, take Belinda as your wife? I do, he said firmly. And do you, Belinda, take Benson as your husband? I do, she answered, voice filled with emotion. You may kiss the bride. Cheers erupted as they kissed. The celebration lasted all night. Months later, they lived happily in a beautiful home. But they never forgot their roots. Benson continued checking his sites personally, and Belinda opened a large food company, employing poor women and paying them fairly. Their story became known far and wide. The humble food seller and the secret billionaire. When people ask how it happened, Benson would smile and say, sometimes, love finds you when you least expect it. And Belinda would always add, real love isn't about money. It's about kindness, patience, and respect. Far away in prison, Collins and Becky lived with nothing but regret, realizing too late that their pride and greed had destroyed them. Dear viewers, what lessons did you learn from this powerful story? Share your thoughts in the comments. If you enjoyed it, give us a thumbs up, share it with friends, and don't forget to subscribe and turn on notifications so you never miss a new update.